welcome back to the Blizzard Arena. My name is Kevin, and we just got finished with a great match. Korea versus EU, Miracle versus Team Liquid. Team Liquid took a great start in that matchup, but Miracle clenched it 2-0, showing Korean dominance once again. Our next matchup, though, the #1 seed from Korea, reigning BlizzCon champions, GenG, is going to take on #1 seed from China. Beyond the game, we call them BTG. It's going to be an amazing matchup. And to take us into it all, the man who's been casting BlizzCon heroes since all the way back in 2014, Tim Trixler-Frazier.
2014, what a good time. We were young, innocent back then. It was great. My name is Trixler, and I'm going to be joined by an amazing cast here as we get ready for this China versus Korea showdown. First up, over here on the left, we got Wolf, commentator for Korea. Wolf, how you doing, man?
Great. You're bringing me back to the days of 2014, 2015, before BlizzCon was won by Koreans every year. What a long time ago that was, wasn't it?
That was so long ago. Abathur had Ultimate Evolution that would actually take over Heroics. Those were good times.
Boy.
Tetcher from China here as well to bring out all the commentary needs. How are you doing, Tetcher?
I'm doing fantastic. I've got so much experience next to me, but this is my first BlizzCon. I am so excited. Thank you very much. So we've got like this 2014. You've been in StarCraft for years coming into Heroes, and I'm new. Hi. I'm the work experience boy.
Well, we already have our series underway as our standings start to trickle in right now, but we're getting ready for our third match of the day as BTG is planning to take on GenG. And that's going to be an exciting series. I didn't think China was going to put up too much of a fight, to be honest, coming in, but already the one has gotten one score on top of Tempest there in Group B, and we'll have to see how Group A will do here as BTG and GenG are about to face off.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that result. It was really shocking to me to hear that, at least initially, but I haven't been able to watch the games yet myself, because obviously you and I were commentating during that series, but Tempest, I hope they don't end up finding themselves in a weak state like they did last BlizzCon. So that's a little bit worrisome for Korean fans from the get-go, I'd say.
I was able to have a little look at the games, and it very much came down to the first game was very dominant on the side of Tempest, from what I've heard. I didn't get to see that one.
Sure.
The second game, Tempest, I've honestly got to say, it's a little bit of draft disrespect. They literally gave the one everything they wanted. Illidan, Maiev, and Arthas all in one composition against a triple melee comp.
Ran over the Kerrigan that was being played by
just
Tempest.
rolled it. And you can't let another team do that. You can't, for starters, give them their comfort picks against a comp that counters yours. You can't allow that to happen.
Well, here is the schedule for today. As noted, we have already had 2 series underway. We've had a 2-0 for Tempo Storm and a 2-0 for Miracle over Team Liquid. Will GenG be able to continue that trend of getting a 2-0 over BTG? That is definitely the question. And BTG, they were actually here last year at BlizzCon, but Tetcher, it was an entirely different roster.
Yeah, there's like one consistent player for that entire roster, I believe, and that's 619. But we do still have a little bit of BlizzCon experience here. We have Loktar, who has substituted for teams before for CE, I believe, taking place of Zhuyu. And then we have 365, who is usually the support player for CE, but in this case is substituting for Druid, who could not make it to this tournament.
Tetcher, I actually want to take a closer look at these players here as we get ready for our match. Who are the players, if they have never seen China before, there are players at home that we should watch out for?
619 is, for starters, an insane tank. He loves his Anubarak and has insane turnarounds in it. Dancing, though, his Reyna is to be feared. If you don't play around it or ban it out, you're going to have problems. He's always coming in from a surprise angle, but the main person I want to call out here is going to be LLK. His flexibility in terms of heroes, he's very much like, if we compare to the flex players, he actually has a kind of similar hero pool to Rich. He will actually bring out that Alarak when people aren't expecting it, for example. He's very comfortable on the Thrall. He is just a solid player who always fills what his team needs.
Wolf, I want to pull you in real quick in a second here. Do you think GenG can take on the macro of what we've seen from BTG, who has been trying to be the one team that seems to macro in China?
Yeah, I mean, that is the kind of true identity of this team beyond the hero pools that you were mentioning earlier. I think that's the other thing that they're known for, with 365 as their sub, that just increases further. 365's played a lot of roles, he's been on a lot of teams, even been a commentator. The guy definitely has been kind of the face of Chinese esports, I think, in the new era of Heroes of the Storm. But yeah, I think that is going to be the most important aspect of this series, is can Beyond the Game find holes in the macro of this squad? Because, I mean, if you have not seen this squad before, guys, this is the most successful Heroes of the Storm team of all time.
How successful are they?
They have won 10 international titles, if you include their MVP Black Days, which of course acquired by KSV, and the majority of the roster the same from back in 2015, only a few swaps there. But they won MSI in 2015, WCA. 2016, they won OGN Super League 2016 Season 1. They won the Spring Global Championship, went on to win the Gold Series. Then in 2017, Eastern Clash, first one, BlizzCon Gold Club World Championship 2018. Already won Eastern Clash 2, Mid-Season Brawl.
Okay, they're hired.
And
okay, I get it. Great resume.
And
beautiful.
In 140 games played this year, 84% win rate. This is the most dominant they've ever been in a year of Heroes of the Storm. They've got Noble S, who's also a BlizzCon champion, as their coach. This is a team of elite players, and going up against them in your first match, it's never an ideal situation, shall we say. You
mentioned elite players. You compare that to BTG. It's a lot of new guard as well. LLK, this is his first BlizzCon. A lot of these players, BTG originally, they came out of the open division in China, along with the One. Both of them actually came into the league at the same time a year or two ago. And seeing that kind of new blood versus a team that's been around since the start and has dominated since the start, you've got to feel a little bit of nerves.
I gotta say, I'm actually worried for BTG because we haven't had too many games with them where they have actually just fallen apart and how they respond back to it, right? In China right now, they've been running a lot of macro play. They seem to be more team-oriented than a lot of the teams out there who are very independently strong and just seem to kind of throw themselves at their opponents and get many victories. BTG has tried to adapt and become a team with great synergy, but I don't know if their macro is there to handle some of the best in the world.
Yeah, their macro is definitely high for the level of China.
Yeah.
But the level of China macro-wise is not as high as, say, Europe or Korea. If you compare team fights, as we just saw from the One, they're world-class. But it takes more than team fights to win a world championship.
I feel like this squad is a team that has very few weaknesses. I'd say overall, they're a very well-rounded team. But that's not enough against a team that has only strengths. And, and I mean, it sounds harsh to say, but I think to predict anything more than a 2-0 here for GenG is a ridiculous claim. However, if they are able to take even a single map here, we have to rethink, like, how good is this team? Like, can they get out of this group?
Well, speaking about Battlegrounds, it's time to get ready for this best of 2 series. Remember, if one team is able to grab a 2-0, they will be awarded 3 points as we continue to accumulate points as we head into the group stage for next week. So here we go. GenG is going to be moving straight into Dragonshire, a battleground that BTG is familiar with, but will they be familiar enough to take on GenG?
Dragonshire has been one of their top map choices, but if you look at GenG's map history, it's pretty much all 100%, this phase at least. And it's not too surprising to see them pick this. It's a very macro-orientated map. There's a couple team fights, but the laning phase is exceptionally important, and this is yet another thing that GenG excels at.
Yeah, I think that when you look at this map, it's one of the oldest maps in Heroes of the Storm, obviously. It's a map where you don't feel like there's a lot of ways you could be duped. There's not a lot of ways you could cheat your way to a win on this map. Dignitas tried a few times over the years, but generally speaking, macro is super important on this map. Invades are very powerful. You can steal Siege Giants, you can control the 4-man, a lot of rotation to the top lane. It's a phenomenal map, and if you just want to play standard, play safe against a Chinese team that's a little bit out there, and you haven't had that much experience facing before, I think this is a great map choice.
Seeing very standard bans so far. The Kerrigan actually coming in as a ban this time though, but this has given one of 619's most popular heroes, the Diablo, over to him, but that's never been an issue for GenG in the past. They're more than happy to play Garrosh, who is banned out though, but they've been bringing out Tyraels from time to time, especially during the later stages, against Ballistics especially.
Yeah, and when you see the Raynor priority here, this is very GenG. This is one of Rich's most successful heroes. Feels comfortable on it. When you have the Tyrande, you get twofold power from this. You don't want to allow Diablo Tyrande on the other side, but you have the ability to pair with Raynor, getting that extra CC and the burst damage in lane.
And if you look at the match history of BTG, Dancing has lent so heavily on this Raynor, so stealing that away is just a double win for GenG, but a decent win for BTG. Once again, GenG, they do like their Yrel as well, even with the changes. Whereas BTG, they at the start of the phase were almost consistently picking it every single game. They started to move into more Blazes and other heroes in the latter phases, but Loktar, he loves his Yrel.
You mentioned the Tyrael earlier, and this is so powerful, and the 4-man rotations, you can use it to soak a lane with the ability to give shielding to all the minions. You could push that even as you rotate around. So it's a very comfortable pick for GenG, and they've played it for, this squad has played this hero for years, and one of the more successful regions for Tyrael has always been Korea. But it makes you feel invincible on the Reiner. It's so difficult to catch him and kill him.
We're seeing a Phoenix and Jaina. Add the Lightning Breath into this, add the armor and the slows from Yrel. It's a very standard synergistic comp. Like, it's the kind of thing we'd expect to see like just pre-Western Clash or Eastern Clash, for example. And it still works. It is just a couple of the heroes have had some minor changes like that Yrel, as we talked about earlier. And we're going to see the Sergeant Hammer to finish out the draft for GenG.
Reset has really improved his Reiner a lot in 2018 because, well, obviously, Reiner was reworked, I should say, in Phase 2, once the Reiner rework came out. So he plays a lot of Reiner now. When this Reiner Hammer comes through, you have a ton of consistent auto attack damage with their basic attacks in team fights, and you're always trying to push the envelope as to how much push does the Sergeant Hammer get, and that's what the Tyrael is for, that extra protection.
Well, thank you for your thoughts, guys. It's time to go ahead and get this series started here as we head over to our casters to bring you the action.
It's time for GenG, who at Midseason Brawl, Skimmy, they're the ones that brought out this Sergeant Hammer. They said, hey, it's not quite dead yet. They're bringing it here against BTG. An interesting matchup for BTG to start the day.
I mean, this is a map well known for the macro, as the desk already mentioned, and this is a map that, well, BTG have shown some signs of life back home, but a team fight team may not be getting what they want, especially up against a 4-lane Sergeant Hammer. Fun times for them. Well,
we saw the Anubarak ban. It says that we want a specific playstyle, so I'm curious how well they can execute it. So they've taken away the aggression from GenG, but they haven't necessarily taken away the how do we deal with the Sergeant Hammer, and that's going to be the hard part. That's what I'm looking forward to, because draft-wise, I really like what BTG has going. You look at the map, you look at the rotations. Phoenix, Jaina both have wave clear, a lot of control over a Battleground that does require a lot of lane control, and sometimes it's vision from those lanes, but it's time to get this series started as GenG will take on BTG.
That they will there. As we jump on in, it's going to be Sake leading on Tarunda. Kyocha playing Malthael, Rich on Sergeant Hammer. Reset on Reynor, and Test on Tyrael.
On the other side will be BTG is 365. He'll be on the Decker dancing. He's going to be dancing a lot on those crab legs. He'll be on Phoenix, 619 on Diablo. LLK will be on Jaina, and Lokhtar will be on that Yrel in the solo lane.
Lots of emphasis on these Phoenix-centric compositions. We've already seen it today, where you get the free man. That's between a Deku Kane and Jaina and Diablo to give yourself some reliable form of engage. We've seen a flex between APOC as well as the Lightning Breath, but this is a scary rotation for GenG. BTG really need to bring it to them when they come through those rotations on mid to bot.
One thing to note for everybody, you're keeping up with the patch, this is when we've seen some Sergeant Hammer changes to the way that Sergeant Hammer has that level 4 ability. You get the Unstoppable, but the minute you leave Siege mode, it changes. So we'll see how that plays out. LLK, it's up to him to play around this. When you go Jaina, you'd love to go the Q build at level 1 for some extra poke against the Sergeant Hammer.
Yep.
But that generally doesn't work as well without something like a Malfurion to provide that mana, and so I'm really curious how they'll be able to approach this type of pressure, because Sergeant Hammer already sieging up at the bottom.
The question really for me though, J-How, is how do you actually get on top of this Sergeant Hammer? Your engagement tools, you're looking very much into the Diablo as well as the Yrel, pretty telegraphed if you have the ability to knock back in time, and obviously we're talking about one of the most mechanically, if not the most mechanically gifted players in the world in Rich. I mean, this is a guy that's not going to mess that one up anytime soon.
I like what BTG is doing to try and counter that. You don't give up a lot of pressure. Sergeant Hammer is hard to take down. They picked up the Siege Camp, has GenG, but it's about that Night Camp and the top lane prioritization. They want to try and take advantage, knowing that Kyocha is on Malthael, a little bit squishier hero than the Blaze or Yrel, which they have themselves. So the way that they can control that, the problem is when that rotation is slow, Skimmy, you don't have control and you have nobody to defend. That's the difference. A bit of a misplay in terms of priority there.
BTG sleeping on that one. I mean, I'm looking at the shrines. I'm seeing complete dominance in the top lane. Same in the bottom lane there. You can't deal with the Sergeant Hammer. So what do? You try and get some macro pressure. They're so distracted grabbing that Night Camp that GenG go, what's happening? We'll just pick up a Dragon for free, and it's only 2 minutes in.
Well, they're getting some early value, and That siege camp at the bottom just helped. Rich, you can see in that picture on the bottom left, has just sieged up there, taken down an entire tower. He's working on taking the siege giant camp of his own. The DK getting work done mid. BTG trying to find a home in that top lane. But Skimmy, they're unsuccessful when it comes to taking down some of these early structures, as they've got to walk away, as the DK will take a fort down momentarily. And watch that experience jump up, because that's when that's almost a 3/4 of a level lead. That's why you said 2-minute DK, and when it's this early, that's a large chunk of XP.
And look, we've already talked about the narrative about this team. I mean, Wolf describes how successful they are, and a big reason of that is how punishing they can be. Already 2 levels up, and the game has barely started as a skirmish takes place in the middle lane right here. Loctar's going to go on down for the first blood. Yrel deleted from the map. Lunaflare would not connect, no chance for a second. But BTG, you know, they try to go for that lane swap, respecting what Sergeant Hammer brings in what is an age-old classic for him. They try and get some value in the top lane, but GenG predict this, and they've got their number.
I mean, it's kind of crazy the way that GenG, you mentioned, normally they do it by being so aggressive.
Yeah.
With Wolf highlighting that too. They've done everything but be aggressive. They've simply managed the lanes so well here. They continue to put that pressure in the bottom. We'll see Kyocha get this night camp up at the top, neutralize some of that pressure against BTG, who's put a lot of that emphasis into that top lane.
Sergeant Hammer still doing Sergeant Hammer things. That's going to be the engage, and that's the instant knockback there, preventing any further aggression. But the rotation is there, and this is what GenG are doing right now to diffuse the Chinese aggression. We're going to play macro, we're going to punish you, and we're not going to let you have any chance to find those mid to late game team fights or those 4v5 all-ins.
Really interesting Jaina pickup. It's saying that you want to step forward. That Frost Armor,
yeah.
you generally see that against dive-style heroes like an Illidan. I mean, even a Zeratul we've seen people use it against. It's just getting the slow and getting control of something that might be diving you. Instead, this enables Jaina to simply walk into the fire and try and get some damage done. I've never really seen it used like this, so it is kind of like a first glimpse of, can this really be functional when the moment matters? We'll see as this game unfolds, as he tries that with that level 4 talent.
That was my point before, you know, like how reliable do they have when it comes to their engage? You know, you're going to go into the Diablo like this with their Shadow Charge, you then got Yrel coming from the flank as well, but if that doesn't work, what can you do? And right now, Lunaflare seems to be the answer, but the warp on out as Dancing survives, waddling away with those crab legs, making sure that he survives for another day. But still, once again, the rotations are there. Malthael is keeping Yrel in check. Bot lane, there's never really been a chance for BTG. I mean, these towers, full health. Never been a chance for BTG to try and catch them on that rotation.
If you saw the series earlier between Luna Meow and Tempo Storm, Luna was in a similar situation on Infernal Shrines where it was that 8-9 fight, and they took a fight. It didn't work out for them, but it's one of the best chances that you have on a map like this, because the minute heroics are picked up, Skimmy, it seems like GenG is like, well, are you really going to fight us? The minute we have 10, we're just going to dominate another fight. And that 8 versus 9, not being able to find it is making it difficult for BTG, but we have seen it already once today, taking that more opportune team fight, but it's not taking place just yet.
Rich in such a fantastic spot right here, completely covered by that shrub. And he's able to hit this siege camp from afar. Level 10 very close here for GenG right now, and 619 is forced to back away from that point. They're going to have to give this one up. They have to respect the heroic abilities that will come online. Tess going to jump across, and they are going to look to try and collapse onto 619, but the rest of the team are nowhere near. Shrines are available. Once again, they've pushed these members so far away. 4 Giants in the bot lane. Rich can keep on pushing. That's another free dragon.
Yeah, and it's up to Jaina to get fast clear on that. You can see that Blizzard going down onto those because Sergeant Hammer, DK, plus Siege Giants, and they didn't get the clear. This bottom lane is going to be under so much pressure here in a moment. It doesn't even matter who's dying. Malthael at the top, that's nice. 10s are still somewhat far away, but this keep wall has already fallen. You can see Jaina trying to get the Blizzard down, but this is a massive push here in the bottom lane.
This is a keep, but we're looking at 7 minutes into this game, and GenG finding so much value in arguably the best lane on Dragonshire. Yes, as you mentioned there, Jay, how they get some breathing room by denying some XP in that top lane. They have Divine Steed as that tech choice for 7 to try and get some rotations and try and keep up with what GenG are doing from a macro standpoint. But the level lead, it's really starting to blow out of proportion here. 2 level leads, and 7 minutes into this game, that's permanent catapult pressure.
This is GenG at their best, and it's weird to say that because they're not doing anything spectacular. It's not like they're just coming out, they have 20 kills in the first 10 minutes. they're just playing the game and doing it better than the other team. I mean, there's no other simple way to put it. Rich is invisible.
He's hiding there. They do have the Shadow Stalk as well. Lunar Flare starts off. Shadow Stalk's being used. He comes in straight away with the Napalm Strike, looking to try and make something happen right there. Salvo comes across, same with the little Nido, damage from afar. Lightning Breath trying to slow everybody down, but GenG's Rich does not care. This is a hero that's meant to be in siege for, but
yeah,
the guy
he's
is
about
running
to be punished for it,
He
though.
gets punished so damn hard, having so much fun right there. BTG finding what they need, Sanification only now being used. And quite honestly, BTG really lucky with that fight.
You know, that's Rich doing things that it's like, nobody else will do that just because it's like, look, this probably isn't the best
There's a
choice.
smile on his face, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's probably grinning as they walk past him. He knows that he's going to have an opportunity in a moment when he comes back. But when you have that much of a lead, you do have that comeback experience. So every kill is worth a little bit more to get back into this game. And you know, you get too comfortable in these situations. BTG is here at the HGC Finals for a reason, Skimmy. They are a top team in their region.
Yes.
They have a lot of ability. We know who GenG is, defending BlizzCon champions, defending. Nice self-cleanse there from Kyoja. But you can never sleep on your opponents here at the HGC Finals.
All the forward rotation to the top lane to respond to the mercenary camps that were achieved. If you actually take a look at the bottom of the minicap, you can see that we have a siege camp and a night camp that can be picked up. If they can coordinate that together with the catapults, essentially they have a boss in the lane that they can push with to try and end this game with. And if they time that out correctly with the shrine for the third DK, GenG could wrap this one up very, very shortly there, J-Hal.
Yeah, BTG, they're making a smart call. It's hard to walk into that. The spell armor, you have a Jaina, you have a Phoenix with the salvo. Even if you get that down, Sergeant Hammer's the priority target, has that self-armor. So it's hard to make plays happen under that. They give that up, not willing to take a talent disadvantage fight. I'm a little surprised here because Yrel cleared that lane. Those catapults are not threatening core. Yrel could have bought more time for them to control rotations, but the fear of GenG coming directly at you, I would say BTG had a chance to at least buy more time there.
Yeah.
It's DK number 2 here, just 9.5 minutes in.
Terrified by GenG here are BTG. Lunar Flare connects. But this one's going straight towards mid lane, and that's going to be another keep that's going to fall on down. And that is progressive bleeding. As they look to find more blood, the keep is about to fall on down. What do BTG have available to them? Level 13 is on the horizon. Lunar Flare goes straight on through, and before he can warp away, he is deleted by the shotgun pump of Raynor. And that might be the pick that GenG is satisfied with. Sanification gets used right there. Dragon Knight expires. The shield and core is literally hanging on by a sliver, and Loctite gets denied with that avenging wrap once again by Reset, really utilizing that shotgun as a CC of its own, but is Rich in a spot of trouble right now. Lightning Breath is used. He can get himself out of harm's way.
Yeah, right.
Unstoppable, he's fine.
Right now, they're still sieging up. They know they have the catapults here. They know they have Sergeant Hammer. As long as he stays alive. If they hadn't taken down the Phoenix, I don't know if they would stay here as long. 50% falling. Here comes the salvo. 619 is going to drop. Souls will bring him back, but 45% falling. Jaina goes down. Rich just looking for an opportunity to make more happen as Loktar in the backside, and you can see he's dancing around him. Rich lives with the healing from Sake. This should be enough now for GenG to claim game number 1.
That it should be. Once again, looking to take down 619. The stun is there to mirror the overpower. And overpower they did. GenG came into this game much the same as we saw Luna Meow versus Tempo Storm earlier today. They warm themselves up, and they get a win on the board to start off their BlizzCon campaign for 2018.
Well, GenG, outside of that weird team fight where Rich just wanted to play peekaboo,
Yeah.
and he's like, you don't know I'm here? But all of a sudden I appear in your back line. How did I get here? I'm a ninja. But instead, you know, GenG taking care of business. We saw Tempo Storm earlier. They're going to be waiting in a couple of series for this team. So as you said, maybe warming up, making sure not to show too much in some of these games. Played a very standard Dragonshire game for GenG.
Very standard Dragonshire game indeed, and I'm sure our desk have a lot to talk about, so we'll pass it back to them, starting with Trickster.
Well, BTG did get a kill toucher. How does that make you feel?
They got 2 kills, actually.
Oh, got 2 kills. Look at that.
I feel twice as good as I was about to say I felt.
I gotta say, the macro for BTG is a weakness that we were pretty well aware of, and it was on full display there.
Yeah, I mean, When you go back to the draft, they banned the Anub'arak, which is so interesting. Rather than going into something more common like the Tyrael, you mentioned it earlier. I think it was you who mentioned on the desk here that Tyrael is very common for them on this map. They played a passive style, not an aggressive style with this composition. And I think that when you go back to the midseason brawl, a lot of people are like, where are all these weird hammer bans? Where are they all from?
Yeah.
And so if you let people, your teams that know how to run this hammer comp on Dragon Shower have it, especially GenG, the best team in the world at this composition, they're just going to play passive. They're going to basically grind you out of the game. They're going to play this Anaconda-esque style where you're eventually just squeezing your opponent out of it, and it's so difficult to play against the perfect hammer play where you just can't stop, or you can't stop that pushing, you can't stop the damage.
Yeah, you're getting lots of plays from GenG. It's typically what you're going to see here at the HGC, but you're only allowed to see it because of our sponsors. Let's check in with a word from them.